All right. So we're going to wait just a few minutes and let anybody else that wants to join us join us. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties, so we're starting a little late today, but that's okay. Nobody's perfect. All right, so we are going to go ahead and get started. If you miss anything during this live, you can always go back and watch whatever it is that you missed. So before we get started, I want to go ahead and remind everybody to hit the like button and to subscribe to the video. Also, if you want to donate to the channel, you can go to the Cash App. It's $EC question reflection. That Cash App again is $EC question reflection. So we were going to be using OBS Studio. Unfortunately, it is giving me a little bit of an issues. And being that this is our first video or live stream video, it's a given. So tonight we're going to be covering a topic called should parents apologize to their children? So we were going to have everyone come on and see what you thought about whether children should or whether parents should apologize to children, because as we know, children, are always obligated or always told that they should apologize when they're wrong or apologize to their parents. So on the flip side, do parents feel like they should be apologizing to their kids. So we're going to see if everyone can reflect on that for a minute and then get back with us and see what they think about that. All right. So while everyone reflects, I'm going to go ahead and give my own viewpoints about children, or excuse me, parents apologizing to children. So I think that they should. I think that anytime anybody as a human being is wrong, then of course they should genuinely be apologetic or remorseful for something that they've done. So, we want children to apologize to other children or to other adults for whether, being disrespectful or, doing something that they weren't supposed to be doing, or, whatever it is. We sit back and we want children to be apologetic. We teach our children to say, I'm sorry. Even as a young age, when one child hits another child, we always, go say you're sorry. So as adults, we may apologize to other adults. When we're wrong about something, my bad, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. But I don't think that we really ever think about apologizing to the small human beings known as our children. And so sometimes we may do things that, yes, we meant to do that. And so we may not necessarily be apologetic to the discipline or to whatever it is that they did to us. But we do want to be apologetic to the fact if we overstepped or if we overdid it, or if you got a feeling from your child that wasn't necessarily meant to be got. If you said something and it really, really, really hurt your child's feelings on a deeper level that it could really impact their self-esteem, then I think that as adults and as parents, we should lead by example and show children how to apologize to people that may be beneath us. And sometimes I know parents think that children are beneath them. And I think I wish I would have learned this lesson at a younger age. But when I finally grew up and I started managing other people, I started to, at first, when I first became a manager, I felt like they were beneath me. If I said something to them that, that's what I meant. And I never really thought about owning up to my own problems or holding myself accountable for something that I may have said. And it's the same way with children, because as parents, we're managing kids. We're managing their lifestyles. We're managing how they're raised. So it's important that we take the time and own up to something that we may have done incorrectly or something that we may have done wrong. Sometimes parents don't think that they have to. And I think that what it does is it causes children to grow up thinking the exact same thing. One of my videos that we did was about perception, and that can really instill a negative perception in children if they grow older and think that they don't have to apologize to anyone inferior to them or beneath them, or someone that you're over. You don't have to apologize to them because that's beneath you. And if as parents we led by an example and we were actually able to teach children how to apologize to someone beneath you, it would be the perfect time as parents to do it to your children. because your children are always going to look up to you, even if they get taller than you. They're always going to look up to you, or you want them to look up to you, more or less. But they're always going to look at you as an adult. They're always going to look at you as their parent. And if we teach them at a young age that right is right and wrong is wrong, then we'll find ourselves teaching them the right way to go about doing things. So a parent may or may not speak to a child in a way that the child doesn't really take it the greatest way. So as parents, you can say, look, this is what I meant, and I meant what I said, but maybe I didn't necessarily have to come across that way. And even though you're not necessarily apologizing for what it is that you did, you're really teaching a child to that it's okay to apologize for your own actions, whether the person that you're apologizing to is superior or inferior to you. It teaches children that superiority is really is really more in the work field. It's not like somebody's better than you, or someone is bigger than you, or someone can't control you because they're the head of you, but that everybody has feelings, and everybody has ways that they like to be spoken to. If let's say you accuse your child of doing something that they actually didn't do, apologizing to that child, like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, mommy was wrong, or daddy was wrong, we shouldn't have accused you of that when we didn't really know. And that's really, really important to do as parents, is to hold yourself accountable. Because in the last video that I talked about, or maybe some advice I was giving somebody, but children will pick up on your hypocrisies. Children will pick up on what you tell them not to do, and then you do yourself. So when you do something you told your child not to do, then they're going to say, well, how come you get to do it? But being able to show your child that not only can I apologize to grown people, but when I'm wrong, and I can apologize to young people too. It's very common, and it actually builds respect with children. That child will respect you a lot more when they know that you can respect them just like you want them to respect you. So that's important. So apologizing or saying I'm sorry. Now, when it's not genuine, if you're just being sarcastic about it, like, I'm sorry, but you're really not sorry, the kids pick up on that stuff. They're not dumb. We might think that they're smaller than us and they don't know as much as we do, but kids aren't stupid. Kids aren't dumb. They're not as ignorant as we might think they are. They be knowing some stuff. So knowing that and holding yourself accountable for the same stuff you're holding them accountable for, and being able to say, you know what, I'm sorry that happened. I'm sorry that I said this to you, or I'm sorry that, I said you did something that you didn't do. I'm really sorry about that. I wish I'd have did that different. I could have did that different. You hold yourself accountable. And it also teaches your child self-discipline, because then at that time, a child will be able to say, well, I was wrong for that. So I might not like it. I might not necessarily want to admit it, but you'll raise a much more mature child when you teach a child to apologize. So I definitely think that parents, when you're wrong, you're wrong. It doesn't matter who it is. Human beings, that they're small, but they're human beings too. And I'm not saying to cower down to your child, because like I said yesterday in a live chat, any parent who is afraid of their child won't discipline their child. So I'm not saying to cower down to your child and, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I don't want you to hate me. Nothing like that. Because if you're more worried about whether your child hates you or not, you're going to be scared of your child. You're going to fear your child because you're going to be worried about what they say to you, what they don't say to you. You're going to be worried about the consequences that's going to come behind it. You're going to be worried about them and how they feel, more or less how you should be acknowledging that. So parents should never fear their child to the point where, not that they can't say I'm sorry, not that they can't hold themselves accountable, but they shouldn't be upset or scared of their children enough to where they can't hold themselves accountable and say I'm sorry. You just don't want to cower down to your kids, because you won't discipline them. You will you'll be so nervous. I watched a movie today. It was a really good movie. Me and my husband watched this movie. And I said it today. The movie's called Luce. I think it's Luce, but it was a really good movie. And something that I pulled out of it was that the mom was so scared of her son and how he would react, or how he would react, or consequences that would come behind it. He was so nervous. She was so nervous about that she apologized to him for a lot of things, but she apologized to him in the sense of, I don't want you to hate me. So parents have to acknowledge, they have to apologize to the point where they're actually teaching. I did a video called Discipline with a Purpose. So when you're disciplining a child, you discipline that child with a point. You don't just discipline a child just to be like, here. You don't discipline a child just to say, shut up, because I'm doing something. That's not discipline. That's more like, I don't want to hear you right now. So you want to discipline with a complete purpose, with a point. And with that, when you're teaching a child, you're teaching them, when you apologize to them, you're teaching them. And you're teaching them that, yes, people are superior to you, but there's nobody inferior or below you enough to where you can't hold yourself accountable for something that you've done. Children are not going to be perfect, and I promise you, neither are parents. Parents slip up, parents make mistakes, some parents cuss. They might cuss in front of their kid. They don't want their kids to cuss, but they cuss. And so you teach your child, look, I'm gonna tell you right now, I can say stuff because I'm an adult, but I'm going to teach you that you can't say that right now because you're a child. It teaches a child self-discipline. It teaches a child that just because you hear something like music and watch something on TV doesn't mean you have to repeat it. So it teaches them self-control. And when you apologize to a child for something that you did, it teaches that child that you're holding yourself accountable for what you have done. Excuse me just a second. What is so funny? What's so funny? Okay, we'll stop. Okay. Thank you. So, do you need something? So, anyways, it is very important to apologize when you're wrong, or apologize when you've done something you ain't got no business doing. As parents, as adults, as teachers, as human beings, we all make mistakes, and we're all going to do stuff that we didn't mean to do. Whether it's bump into somebody, oh, I'm sorry, my bad. I teach that there are different levels of respect. And courtesy is a general level of respect. It's a respect that you just regularly give to people. Well, when you regularly give somebody respect, you give the courtesy. If you bump into them, you give them that respect enough to say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bump into you. So if you can give a stranger a general level of respect, why would you not give a child, someone who you're trying to raise, someone who you're trying to raise into a decent human being? You're trying to teach them a path. You're trying to get them on the right path so that they can be good kids, so they can be decent human beings. Why would you not teach them to apologize? I really, really wish I would have learned. I can talk to anybody. People tell me, you know what, Casey, you can talk to anybody. You can talk to anybody and any kind of different people. You can speak to them. And I always hold myself accountable. If maybe I say something that I think might be offensive, even if I think it's offensive, even if they didn't take an offensive, I've taught myself to apologize. I've taught myself to apologize to a point where I didn't mean to offend you. Maybe I said what I said and I meant what I said, because most of the time I'm going to say what I mean. I'm not going to just be saying stuff just to be saying stuff. I'm going to say what I mean. And a lot of times I might say, you know what, I don't mean to offend you, or I don't mean to be funny, or, I'm sorry if you take this the wrong way, but, and that's how I apologize. And I try to teach my children to do the same. The Bible tells, I know some people are biblical, some people aren't, but the Bible says not to be easily offended. So unfortunately, we are easily offended. We can get sensitive. And the crazy thing about getting sensitive is this: it's in our nature. It doesn't matter whether we, somebody said something to us, we might just be sensitive about it. And guess what? Kids do the same thing. They learn us as adults. They learn us as their parents. They learn us as older kids. And they learn that whatever we're doing, they're supposed to mimic. Now, there's sometimes that you're going to say, like I just mentioned about the cussing. There's sometimes that my kids might hear a cuss word from somewhere, and I'll say, they'll be like, Mom, why can't I do that? Because I said you can't, for one. For two, since I always give a reason for everything, you can't do it because the word's not nice. Or you can't use it because you can't use it in context. We have a rule in our house that you can't use a word unless you know the definition to it, can tell me the definition to it or the history behind it, and you can use it in context. So if you can't use a word in context, don't use it. And so they'll say, well, Mom, there's this word that I don't understand why I can't say it. And I'll tell them straight up, this is why you can't say it. So at the same time, while we're teaching these kids that you can't do this and you can't do that, why would you not teach them that they should apologize when they're wrong? It doesn't matter who they're talking to. It doesn't matter if the person they're apologizing to is younger than them. If they're wrong and they genuinely believe that they're wrong, then they should be remorseful or apologetic for it. And so there's nothing wrong with us as parents saying, you know what, I'm sorry that I said you didn't do this. Or maybe my son, who's sitting in front of me playing with his toys oh so nicely, maybe he didn't take out the trash at the right time that day. Like, let's say, he's supposed to take the trash out and he's scared of the dark, which he's not, but he doesn't really like to go outside at nighttime. So we have the buddy system and they'll go. So let's say that he didn't, and then, or it's raining really bad and I get onto him and I say, look, you need to go take the trash out. And he gets mad. Now, see, my kids don't backtalk me until later on when we talk about it. They don't backtalk me at all. But I'll say, well, I don't like you to take trash out. And I might just get into him. So then later on, he might like, Mom, I didn't take the trash out because it's raining hard and I didn't want to get wet because, you know, whatever. And he'll give me the answer. And then at that point, I might say, oh, baby, well, I'm sorry. I mean, I didn't know that. I wasn't paying attention. Mommy, sorry. And I'll give him a hug. And that teaches him that, well, mommy, if mommy's a grown person and daddy's a grown person and they can apologize to me and I'm just a little kid, then if I see a little kindergarten at school and I accidentally bump into him and he trips and falls, why would I not be able to help him up and just be like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that? Why not? Why not? Yes, Jenny. Hey, Jenny, how you doing? Thank you for joining. You know, this is my first live chat, so I'm kind of nervous, but I appreciate you support, and I really appreciate that. And yes, I agree with you. I've been talking about that for a while. You know, parents should definitely apologize to their kids. You know, and like I was saying, when we apologize to our children, it teaches our children to apologize. See, like I was saying in one of my videos that, excuse me, what is so funny? Hey, excuse me, whatever's so funny, y'all need to take it somewhere else. What'd I say? So anyways, it's okay, Jenny. I appreciate you coming. So anyways, y'all have to excuse me if I have to stop every now because my kids are trying to support me too, but they're being quiet, but they're laughing. They're laughing. Y'all want to say hello? Y'all want to speak? No. Don't step on my stuff. You want to speak? Come speak. Come say hey. Hello to everybody.
Hey.
Oh, okay. Jaden, you want to speak? Say that ain't speaking. There you go. There you go. So anyways, so like I was saying, our kids, like I was saying in one of my videos, our kids will mock us. Our kids will do whatever. Go ask Darren if he wants to speak, because I'm sure he's older now. He don't really care about all that. But when our kids will mock us, they're sponges to us. They'll get to the point where Darren, you want to speak to everybody? Say hello. Say hey y'all. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? I'm not over the fact that your voice is all in people's business. Just like Gavin.
How you looking?
How many people you got in?
It don't matter. So anyways. All right, y'all. So anyways, so I had in my video in one of my videos that as kids, they'll mock us. They will repeat what we do. They'll repeat what we say. Sometimes we'll get kids that look just like us and they'll sound just like the other parent because they will mock exactly what they see. Like monkey see, monkey do. They will see stuff, they'll repeat it. They'll hear stuff, they'll repeat it. And the crazy thing about it is that no matter what we try not to do, kids are going to see it. So we then have to redirect them into, you can't do that, or you're not old enough to do that because of so-and-so, or whatever the reason is that you have as a parent. And then the kids are like, well, wait a minute. So if we apologize, if we start teaching apologies to the kids, they're going to mock that as well. And I was saying that I really wished that I would have been taught that as a kid. I was raised majority by the state of Missouri. I'm from Kansas City, Missouri, so the state had me majority of my life. So I really didn't get the household kind of stuff that that you teach, that the parents get to teach when you have two parents. And the crazy thing about that is I wished that a lot of things that I know now, I would have been taught as a child. And I think I would have been a different human being. Not saying I'm a bad person, but I'm just saying that I would have been a different teenager. I would have been a different young adult had I been taught certain things. Me and my husband have been married for 14 years. And through that time, I have learned so much. And I'm glad that I have, because You can now you can take that stuff and you can drill it into your kids. You can instill it in them, and then hopefully they'll take that information when they get married and have kids too. And that's really where it starts. So when parents show that they can apologize, it shows that they can hold themselves accountable for their own actions. When you'll have this little scenario was brought up, moms that bring multiple men in the house. It's a whole nother conversation, but I'm going to bring it up because this is the time that some parents should apologize for that kind of stuff. You have women, moms, that will bring 5, 6 different men in the house, and then those little girls or little boys are subject to different belief systems, for one. And then they sit back as parent or as kids, and they're like, their mom will be like, why are you act like that? And they'd be like, well, mom, I don't really have a stable father figure. And what people don't understand is that a child needs both father and mother. They need both systems because men and women are made up of testosterone and estrogen. They're made up of masculinity and femininity. And all children, men, boys and girls, need both. So when these women are bringing multiple men into these households, it takes away from those children's stability. But see, the thing is, those moms will never apologize to those kids. Girls are mostly affected by it, but they will say, well, mom, why'd you subject me to this all the time? Why is this something that you did? And even when they question their mom, that's my business. They ain't none of your business. I raised you, I put food on the table. That's their answers to everything. And you never taught that child to be held accountable for their actions because you never held yourself accountable for anything you did. A lot of parents do that. A lot of parents say, I did what I did because I wanted to do it. I'm going to raise my kids the way I want to raise them. And the kids questioning their parents, because I know at school, I'll go to school because I substitute on the side because being raised in the system, I kind of just wanted to get back. And I definitely want to be no psychiatrist because I'm not fixing to tell no child they're ADHD when I know their mama's feeding them full of sugar and that's why they bouncing off the walls. So I didn't want to be a part of that. So I said, you know what, I'll just give back. I'll be a mentor or I'll be a teacher of some sort. So I did. I go and I substitute. And a lot of times I hear a lot of crazy stories. And these kids will say, well, my mama do this. Did you ask your mama what? I had a little girl come to me and ask me. She said, Miss Williams, she said, how am I supposed to tell my parents such and such? And I'm thinking in my head, you just met me this morning for your first time. Like, you can't tell your parents and stuff. These kids can't go to their parents because their parents have never taught them accountability. They've never taught them that they can be held accountable. And accountability can be both sides. I mean, just because you're held accountable for something doesn't necessarily mean that it's a negative thing. You can be held accountable for something that you did and it turned out to be positive. You can be held accountable for how great your hair looks today. You're held accountable for it as your action because you did it. Accountability is not always a negative thing. It's not always, I did something wrong, so I'm going to be held accountable for my actions. Your choice, your consequence, and consequences are positive and negative. So when you teach your child to apologize, and when you yourself as an adult can apologize to your child, you are teaching that child that it does not matter how old I am. It does not matter what status I have. It does not matter how rich or how poor I am. I can apologize for what I've done that's wrong, or where I've done someone else wrong, or where I feel like I could have been disrespectful, even though I might not necessarily think I was disrespectful, but that person may have taken it that way. Because there's 5 things that'll make somebody think you disrespectful, and one of them is your facial expression. So you can be sitting here talking like this and be the nicest thing in the world. Some people say, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. But I teach both sides, so it's not always what you say, and it's how you say it. And sometimes it's not how you say it, it's what you say. So you can be nice and sweet all you want to be, and be as hateful as can be with them nice little cute words. With those, and that's just how it is, and that's what you teach kids. That's what you'll teach your kids. So apologizing to a child teaches them that. Now you'll have some parents, and like I said, I'm always on both sides. There are some things that you do not have to apologize to your child for. There are some things you do not have to say I'm sorry to your child for. If you working your butt off and you got clothes on the child's back, but it might not be the name brand, but you're providing for the child, you don't have to apologize for that. Mama, I ain't got the Jordans that just came out. I ain't got them Nike. I ain't apologizing for that. You ain't barefooted. I do my best to let my children know that they don't have to have stuff like that. My husband and I work our butts off to make sure that they have what they need. See, we provide for our children and raise our children because, like I said in one of my videos, there's some parents that only provide for their kids. All they gonna do. That's all they gonna do because that's all they kids want from them is them $200. What them shoes is this $200? Not Kobe's. They are nothing. $200. Them $200. What it is? Kyrie's, whatever.
They got $200.
LeBron. That's what it is. LeBron.
Am I not $200?
They are too. They're expensive. And I'm not fixing to sit here and waste a lot of money doing that because at the end of the day, I'll ask a child, what did your mama teach you today? Or what has your mama, name something to me that your mama has ever taught you. And they'll be like, they can't think off the top of their head. And I was like, okay, well, name something that your mama's ever done for you. She buys me school clothes. She feeds me. It's always materialistic with these kids. It's the same kids. They're always materialistic. It's always my mama cooks. My mama buys me clothes. My mama buys me Christmas stuff. My mama doesn't. What kind of clothes do you? And these kids be having the Nikes. They be having the top of the top stuff. But at the end of the day, these kids haven't been taught anything. These kids got the same stuff going on that they come home. It's the same thing. So that's one thing you do not have to apologize to your child for. Is if you are providing for your child and it's not the most expensive game system or it's not the most expensive pair of tennis shoes, but they're decent, you ain't got to apologize to them kids for that. You do not have to apologize to your children for that. And if you happen to, for instance, if you tell your child the truth about something, let's say your kids are old enough where they're starting to date. See, my boys, kids ain't dating yet. I don't want to go there. But my oldest will be 15 in December, so he's getting to the point where he likes girls. Like he's like, tries to date girls. I'm not fixing to apologize for him if I see one girl and she is a floozy. If she is a floozy and Jenny, you got me. Look, I think that's it. Jenny, I have a system called OBS Studio that I was going to be using today. And for some reason, it wasn't giving me back it wasn't streaming like I wanted it to. But I'm going to tweak that system. And you should get that system too. That's awesome. Because you can put you can put all your little stuff on now, all your cash apps and your subscribe buttons and all of that stuff. It's really cool. It's called OBS Studio. So we're going to see. Thank you. I appreciate that. So anyways, that's one thing you don't have to apologize to your children for. That's another thing is if you telling them, I know because our kids, they be in love. I don't know about if y'all have kids that are old enough to date, but when they get to that point, there's going to be some boys and some girls, and you're going to be like, you can't date this person. This person is terrible. And they'll be like, but mom, they're so pretty, or they're so fine, or whatever. And you got to tell, this ain't the person for you. I just told a girl today, she said, why don't you approve your kids dating? And I said, I'm going to tell you why. I said, because dating is the first step, is the step before marriage. The point of dating and courting, the point of it is to see if you marriage material enough to spend the rest of your life with me. That's what dating is. And she was like, oh. I was like, See, y'all play with it. It's a dating game nowadays. It's who can I date this week and who can I break up with this week and see who I can get with next week. It's a dating game to these kids. That's what it is. And then they can't stand the fact that you're telling them. And so you don't have to apologize to your children for telling them the truth about that. Now, and it is what it is. The crazy thing about it is what it is. You will have girls that will show their behinds. You'll have these girls that don't mind wearing these little nasty shirts way down here that, show everything. These girls is grown. Nowadays, these girls got stuff going on. These girls got a back. These girls are thick. And they be 12 and 13 years old. And then people wonder why they having babies that young. Because they look like grown women. They look like they're 25. Like they're, and you wonder why these grown men, unless they tell them, no, sir, I'm 13. If they got respect enough, I'm just thick, but I'm 13. If they don't tell them, you ain't have to apologize to your children for stuff like that. Stuff like that needs to be said. And that's part of raising kids. Now, you might say, look, I'm sorry if you take this the wrong way, or I'm sorry if this offends you, but let me tell you, my job is to protect you. My job is to make sure that you see things you don't see, because the part of the brain right up in here that controls discernment, controls the ability to make good judgment calls, it doesn't even develop until a child gets about 23, 24, 25. It isn't even fully developed. And you wonder why they have the alcohol limit at 21, because these kids can't make good judgment calls. Not even at 21, they can't even make good judgment calls, because the part of their brain that helps them make that decisions to decide what's right and what's wrong isn't even fully developed. So as parents, us telling them, no, baby, no, baby. Let me tell you some things about these girls, or let me tell you some things about these boys that you need to go ahead and know. There's a song, and I liked the song until I heard the original version of it. It's Life Jennings made this song called SEX. And I always resort to music. Jenny always resorts to movies. I resort to music because I like music. It says, it's talking about a little girl losing her, virginity and things. And that she shouldn't give it up. Okay, this is what the song's about. So in the middle of the song, it says that the mom's delivery is whack. Meaning, these mamas ain't telling these little girls. These mamas ain't telling these boys. And these daddies ain't there to tell the boys. Because you have so many single moms raising boys, and you have so many single moms trying to raise girls by themselves. And I'm sorry, like I said before, kids need both parents. You have so many of these moms trying to raise these boys to be men. And yeah, the mom's delivery is going to be whack, because when the mom's conversation is to her little girl, honestly, that daddy needs to have that conversation, because daddy knows how these boys are. See, us women, we have our own perception about how boys are. And these men's got their perception about how girls are. That's why you got to have both. And you should never apologize to your child for telling them that. So what we got? Don't apologize for not buying the most expensive. Don't apologize to your child for telling them how the real world is, or how these little girls are. Don't apologize. You don't have to apologize to your kids for that. You can apologize for their feelings. You can acknowledge their feelings, because one thing we do have to understand is that kids are very emotional. Girls, when they go through puberty, they have an extremely high level of estrogen, which causes them to be extremely emotional. That's why little girls get diagnosed bipolar. This is another reason I'm not a psychologist. I'm not going to be a psychologist, because I refuse to do that. Girls are not bipolar. They have an attitude. It's not bipolar. And girls have high levels of estrogen, which is causing them to be unbalanced. Of course, they're not bipolar. They just don't know how to control. It's called coping skills. And if, as parents, we don't step in and say, oh, wait. No. We got to redirect this. Or discipline, because discipline is about redirection. We have to step in and say, you know what? You're upset, but it's going to be all right. And we deal with depression. Girls say, I'm so depressed. No, you're not depressed. There's a difference. But they don't know any better. I had a kid come into class, and now take it. If you know me, forgive me, my hair is getting on my nerves. If you know me, then you know that I don't teach academics. When I substitute, academics, that's what the teacher's job is for. My job is because you ain't here and you need a babysitter for your classroom. So I'm going to teach them some life stuff that they ain't getting at home. So I had this little boy. I got warned about him. He was supposed to be a bad kid. Oh, he's so terrible. Okay. I don't care. I take those challenges. So I'm sitting there. Now, classes are normally 41 to 45 minutes. And I'm sitting there and I'm talking. Now, I lecture just like I am right now. I'm lecturing. I'm talking. I'm educating. I'm kicking knowledge. I'm talking about wisdom. I'm talking about how, you can be stupid and smart in the same situation. I'm talking like boom, boom, boom. So this kid, we're at the end of the class, and this little boy, he raises his hand. He says, Miss Williams, you said you don't believe in ADHD. And I said, I don't. He was like, but I'm ADHD. I said, I've been ADHD since I was 3. I said, how old are you? He says, I'm 13. You've been ADHD since you were 3? He said, yeah, I was on medication. I said, what'd you do? I bit a child, and that made you ADHD. These kids are not taught that. They're not taught that I can't eat a bunch of sugar. Yeah, I'm gonna bounce off the walls. Shoot, as an adult, they got a pill, a caffeine pill to keep grown people up overnight so they can work overnight. Take it during the day if you want to. You're gonna be ADHD. You're gonna be all over the darn place. But parents don't teach kids that. So he comes and he tells me that, and I tell him, I'm gonna tell you something. ADHD ain't no discipline at home disorder. And he was like, I said, and he was like, you right. You are so right. You are so right. And he was like, my mom has been fighting for a reason to get me off of this medication. He said, I think you just gave me my reason to get off this medication. I said, honey, you're 13 years old. You've been on the same medication for 10 years for ADHD. And I said, I'm gonna tell you something right now. I've been sitting in this classroom for 41 minutes and you ain't moved. And he was like, you're right. I ain't moved. Because ADHD kids, they fidget. They move, or they'll rock, or they fidget with their hands, or they always moving, or they're always doing something. And he said, Miss Williams, you're right, I ain't moved. I said, I tried to tell you. I had another little girl did the same thing. I had to teach her about discipline. She said, she kept rocking in her chair. I don't let them rock in the chair. You want to rock in the chair, you can I take your chair, you can stand up. That's what it is. So she rocked in the chair. I took it. She stood up for a while. Gave her chair back to her. So at the end of the classroom, she came to me. She says, Miss Williams, she said, same question I always get. You don't believe in ADHD? I said, no, I don't. I told her again, ain't no discipline, no disorder. She said, Miss Williams, what's that mean? What's discipline? I said, you remember when I took your chair? She said, yeah. And I said, I gave it back to you, didn't I? She said, yes. And I said, did you rock again? She said, she smiled. They always smile because they realize they've been disciplined and they don't even know it. Kids love discipline because they love the expectation and they love to know what to expect. And I'm not going to apologize for that at all. I'm not going to apologize for teaching you. I'm not going to apologize for disciplining you, especially when it benefits you. I'm not going to apologize for taking your chair. You know, I'm not going to be like, well, I'm sorry I had to do it, baby. No, I did it to benefit you. I did it because you needed that. You needed to hear that. And eventually they'll get the picture. Eventually they'll say, you know what? I did. I needed that. To this day, that same little girl is the best behaved child when I'm her teacher. All I hear, I'll be like, where's so-and-so? Oh, she's terrible. And I'm like, she ain't gonna be terrible today. Oh, Miss Williams, I don't know about that. They can't believe how well behaved they are. And that's something you do not have to apologize as a parent for. But you should apologize anytime that you're wrong. Anytime you know you're wrong. Anytime that you've done something that you think, like if you hurt a child's feelings, sometimes you got to say some things and you don't necessarily want to have to apologize, but you got to, kind of thing. Especially if you're fixing to hurt their feelings for some reason. You can apologize for hurting their feelings. Sometimes you're going to say stuff to a child and you know it's going to hurt their feelings. Sometimes you're going to, let's say you got a child that's overweight. I'm fat, so I know I can I can talk. I'll talk trash. I'm fat myself. I can handle when somebody tells me I'm fat. I had a little kindergartner tell me, Miss Williams, you know what I want to be when I grow up? And I said, what, baby? He says, I want to be beautiful and fat like you. Okay. Beautiful and fat. Go ahead there, baby. If that's what you want to be when you grow up, you go right on ahead. But if you got a child that's overweight and it would benefit them to lose some weight because it can affect their health, you're going to hurt their feelings. And every child is different. So you may be able to find a way that you can tell them without